Hello, everybody. Welcome to the panel of the World of European My Little Pony Friendship is Magic events. It's not gonna be just about Friendship is Magic events, but pony events in general. But anyway, thanks for coming. First, I would like to ask, how many of you have seen this panel before from me? Okay, good. Many of you. So I tried to update it so you won't see the same things again and again. And I will try to talk more about the things that was omitted because we did not have much time before. All right, let's begin. What this is going to be about. My Little Pony events, not just in Europe, something about the past, the present, and the recent changes that these events are going through. Please be aware that all the comparisons I'm going to make are matter of my perspective and some personal preferences. So if I'm talking about something that's happening, bear in mind that some of those things cannot be avoided. I can recommend to going to every event I'm going to describe. It was always fun to be there. I have a load of memories that we could talk until the next day. Those who knows me, they know that I tend to talk a lot about conventions and what we experienced there. It's gonna be about visitor and organizer and the guest view, comparing these three, because all of these perspectives are unique. If you come as an attendee to a convention, the perception of the whole event is totally different than from other two rows. This is something that's not spoken often about, so I would like to lift a fog a little bit from these topics. And it's gonna be a little view behind the curtain of convention organizing, and I hope we will have time for some questions if you have them. One disclaimer, I'm going to describe only the conventions I've personally been to. There are more, of course, and it's not in the power of one man or a pony to visit all of them because there are literally a lot of them. So, short introduction about me. I'm a Czech brony. I've been in the fandom since 2012. Since 2014, I'm a chairman of the Czechwestria Convention in Prague. I'm also involved in the Ponyfest online organization team. And since the very beginning, I like to do some fun stuff, events, auctions, panels. Sometimes they invite me as a guest for the reason I still do not know. And of course, there are some people who like to troll me all the time. So if you see somebody doing some crazy stuff towards me, yeah, they're just making fun. I just want to say I'm going to talk about what we've experienced as a group of traveling bronies to these events and my personal experience. I would like to say that I was really shy in the beginning because this Fluttershy cosplay is for no reason. It's not for no reason. I've been able barely spoken English. I've been afraid to travel, and the picture in my mind that I would be sitting on the stage and talking to somebody, that was simply terrifying. The thing why I'm saying this, that what I'm going to describe, you can all experience. Just in time, traveling and other stuff is skill unlike any other, and it can be learned. And let's say that most of the pony experience is simply crazy. Because friendship is magic, and magic is mostly unpredictable. So, something about My Little Pony conventions in general. Every time I'm trying to make some categories for the events, I got stuck into the issue that there are no certain boxes that can be fit, that can fit all the events. It's more of a scale. The naming that I used, first it was West and East, then Windows, Linux, official community events. It depends where the event takes place, what the local people are used to. And it's pretty affected what we are used to experience at the events. Also, the pricing of these kind of events vary a lot. Outcome of the events depends not just on the organizers, how they organize it, but also on fans. So if fans are in a good mood, if they are doing the crazy stuff outside of the program, or if they are hyped, the feeling of the convention is much, much better. If you know about multi-fandom conventions, I mean convention where more than one fandom takes place, you should definitely try them. I can recommend that. That picture on the left, it's from Fantasy Festival in Czech Republic. And when you can have fun with other fans from other fandoms, it can produce really cool results. I think on that photo there is me as Fluttershy from My Little Pony. Next to me, it's Indiana Jones, Deadpool, and some characters from the, Thor and other guys. Yeah. Yeah, Nazgul. I'm sorry? Ah, yes, that's right. So if you mix these characters, you will definitely have a lot of fun. Also, official Hasbro events are fun. We experienced some of those in Czech Republic. I will talk about that later, because that's a story to tell. Just when it's a Hasbro event, you have to be a little bit careful when you do some crazy stuff. They don't like it too much, obviously. Every convention is influenced by the local culture and the local and the visiting bronies. Especially when you have previous experience and you come to an event, you have some expectations that are expected to be fulfilled. Local bronies usually have some local memes, and the conventions also produce memes on their own. The typical example is Fanta at Galacon or Button's mom and stuff like that. Now I regret I started this topic. Okay, yeah. Every convention year is unique. If you consider it good and bad, that's usually how your expectations are fulfilled. And I think I haven't seen any event that was without mistakes or without any failures, even though they are hidden and not to be seen, covered by organizers and stuff. But this is something that always happens, and as an organizer, you have to deal with it. If we are going to compare the last 10 years, because it's 10 years since the first convention, My Little Friendship is Magic convention in Europe, which was Galacon in 2012. It's a little bit tricky because we are comparing totally different times. The world changed a lot, bronies changed a lot. We now have a huge amount of material around the whole phenomenon and stuff like that. So if somebody was at these events, like in 2012 or 2013, and searching for the same experience, it will never come. It will never be the same. Every event will just pass and leave the unique experience. So this is how it is, but it does not mean that these conventions cannot be awesome anyway. I mean, G5 is still an undiscovered country, so we have plenty of crazy space to explore. We have, I think, a little bit unexpected horizons ahead. Like I said, those unexpected events, let's take an example from that Hasbro event. We went there, we discovered that there is a Hasbro official event for kids in Prague. And we were like, oh, well, let's take cosplays and go there, that's gonna be fun. So we went there, somehow, that's a story to be told later. And we've been making photos with the kids. And one of the guys who's been cosplaying Babseeds, he was asked by a little kid, like, and which pony are you? And with total poker face, he responded, you do not know me, I'm in the 3rd season. So, yeah. New horizons to explore. Maybe one more thing, if conventions are talking about amount of attendees, it's not that super hard number. It's usually a little bit overrated because it's not so easy to count actual amount of attendees, just a side note. Because there are a lot of overlaps and different ways how to count them. Specifically, conventions in Europe. Yes, that picture is very fitting. I'm not sure if there is 14 different conventions in the Europe. I mean, for every muffin one. It's quite a real challenge for the organizers because we have many different cultures in all over the Europe. We have different languages. So that's the main difference from the situation, for example, in the United States, where you don't have to care about these things. Not just languages, but also attendees' expectations and stuff like that. Did you ever heard of people or bronies from United States talking about the European events? I recommend. It's very enlightening, let's say. Yeah. About those languages, it's sometimes even nearly impossible to solve because you always have the pressure from the local community to make the event in the local language. But if you do so, then with the exception for the UK, you usually hit the barrier that the foreigners aren't coming. If we would make Czechvestria in Czech language, I have no doubt that there will be just a few foreigners. Yeah, it always includes traveling on the local distance, usually to other country, sometimes with other money, other culture and other stuff. So many people are discouraged from traveling to other countries, especially when you go more east in the Europe. Yeah. And how to promote the international events in Europe. We have, of course, Equestria Daily, but otherwise, for PR, it's usually a really hard job. Because are you going to do it in one language, second language, 2 languages? Where do you do it? Because every community in Europe has its own place where it groups. This is usual My Little Pony convention program. Most of these events you can find at most conventions. This is what attendees more or less expect and also enjoy. The same program at the different events can be handled very different way. Let's say that if you try to come with something really original, it's pretty hard. And it's not any issue that you take something that's successful at one event and adapt it for your event. We saw it here at the very beginning, for example, the theater play. I think I've seen it for the first time at BabsCon in 2016. They have the same theater play with the mascots of the event. And then they let attendees vote which ending they should play at the closing ceremony. Basic idea is the same. The way how it's been done here at the BabsCon was totally different. So just an example of a specialty thing that can be handled differently. All right, let's do a quick run through these overviews and events because, as I saw, many of you have seen these pages already. Yeah, 10 years is a really long time. There were many events. Who's been to more than 10? Cool. What? 10? It could be like 5 years of Galacon would count as 5. Of course, as I said before, every event is unique. Nice, good. So most of you are already experienced. So for who this is the first convention? Nobody. Yeah, one. Cool. Yes. You know, I'm a little bit jealous of you because after those 10 years, I've experienced a lot of things that this fandom offers, but you have it all ahead. All that material, all the jokes, all the videos, everything is waiting for you to be discovered. It's amazing. Ah, cool. So a lot of experience at the conventions awaits. So I'm not going to describe every My Little Pony Friendship is Magic event in the Europe that happened. Only those I've personally visited. Because I don't want to talk about something that I don't have a personal experience about. All right, let's begin. Galacon 2012, the really very beginning. Who was at the first Galacon? Yeah, few of you. Cool, good. You probably would agree that the first Galacon was very different from what we are used to now. It was more like the community or that Linux or that East type of event. It has totally different feeling, but it was totally awesome. 1 year after that, Galacon evolved to what we are used today, 1,000, 1,400 attendees plus minus around this size. During the pandemic, Galacon was held online. It's a big convention full of program, and it does not get boring even if you come there every single time, year after year, since the very beginning. As I always say, if you want to see VIP guests in the Europe, go to Galacon. If you like a lot of program and you are set for the consuming a lot of brony content at one place, Galacon is the best place to go. Bug convention was held in Manchester. It was typical like Windows West style convention. It was by the size, it was similar to the Galacon. It ended in 2016 for similar reasons why that causes BronyCon to end. It was really hard to keep the tempo of the organization, and they've been encountering the decline in attendees numbers. This is sometimes what sometimes happens to big events, that they grow up really fast and they adjust their program and organization structure to that. And then when the amount of attendees drops, it's hard to keep on going. Another convention, Brony Days, held once in Paris, then in Nantes, just twice. It was nice, small, interesting. We met M.A. Larson for the first time in Europe. This was also birthplace for Czechvestria, let's say, because we promised it to M.A. Larson back then. In 2015, it was not announced in advance, but the whole convention was in French. And it was a little bit different, and it was kind of experience that even if you go to a convention that main language is different than the one you understand, you still have fun. It's not as awesome as others where you can understand everything, but it worked. That was the convention that was Ingrid Nilsson talking about. It was her first time in the Europe. And when I was there and I already found out the whole convention is in French, and I was like, oh, this is a guest from Canada. Now it's gonna be good. It's gonna be in English. I'm going to understand. And the first sentence she said on the stage, oh, hello, I'm from Canada, and I can speak English and French, so I'm going to speak French for you. Oh, we should. Okay, happens. Never mind. Also interesting is that some guys with cameras stopped me back then. I told them some sentences, and it has pretty long-term influence that I totally did not know. I will talk about this later. Another event in Helsinki, Christopher, it's been held only once. Many people said, yeah, it was so awesome, I saw it, I wanted to go, but I'm going to come next year. It never happened. So if you want to go to a convention you like, do it now, because you never know if it's gonna be there next year. My little convent, one of the Polish conventions, Polish convention scene is a little bit shattered and kinda a little bit chaotic. Recently I read a document about all the conventions and the Bronic fandom situation in Poland. It's been enlightening, explaining a lot of things, more on that later. Just to say that this convention was a typical example of that community-style event. You rent a school, you have a lot of rooms, you have a lot of panels, a lot of programs. You take your sleeping bag and mat and sleep with another 20, 30 bronies in the same room at the convention place. It has advantages and disadvantages. You can probably think about all the disadvantages. But advantage is that it has a really strong community feeling, and you can party around the clock. That's perfect. Also, these events have totally different prices in the vendor hall than, for example, here or at Galacon. Another event, Czechvestria. It's been created as a, let's say, best of the both worlds. So we have some aspects from the east and from the west, or from the official community, whatever you call it. Also an example when we just told ourselves that we want to make a convention because we've been to the first Galacon and we got totally inspired. So yeah, let's make something like this. Yep. It's running until today and I'm really glad of it. It kind of changes the, let's say, for me this was the turning point of the view of the fandom, because once you start to organize events, you cannot revert back to the attendee point of view. You always go to events and you look and you organize. It's like, yeah, this should be done, this should be done, this should be done. Other people, oh, I should stop, I'm just attendee here. It's happening all the time. Another Heartswarming Con, one of the pretty long running ones, ended right before the pandemic. I think 1 week before the pandemic. It was the last event before the total lockdown. I was thinking if I should call PonyConHolland as a successor of Heartswarming Con, because a lot of aspects are the same. People are different, the feelings are different, the whole spirit, atmosphere of the convention is a little bit same. So, Heartswarming Con done. So as the Brony Fair, it was a convention in Berlin, about 300 attendees. One of the unique things about this was the Iron Pony competition. Pretty unique, and I would like to totally experience it again. But I think Brony Fair is not coming back. Pony Rebrik, it's a convention in St. Petersburg, in Russia. I know it's not easy talking about this at the current situation, but it would not be right to just pretend it did not happen. It was like going outside of the comfort zone, but it was totally worth it. Meeting bronies from other countries, and let's say, as I've been talking about the different ways of organizing conventions, that every country has its own way. In Russia, they also have their very own way how to organize the whole event, what people are used to. And this was, again, something that very interesting to see, that things can be done totally different way, but still very good. By the atmosphere, it was very similar to this convention or Czechvestria or similar ones. Another Russian event, Derp Fest, do not to be confused with the Derpy Fest, which is German event. Yeah, I always got confused by these two. It's event in Moscow, held in the, let's say, Western style, because it was held in the hotel for the first day. For the second day, it was full of concerts and cosplays at a different location. That's something that's not used very often in the rest of the Europe. I think the only event that did this was Brownie Scott. Yeah, speaking of Brownie Scott, one of the longest running events in Europe, also ended right before the pandemic. It was smaller in size, but small events are also nice, as we experience here. Also, if you go to the UK to visit Griffish Isles, it's an event at the edge of the meetup and the convention. Because how do you define convention and how it differs from a meetup? Can you give me any hints? Projector, yeah, that's the local Czech meme. Yeah, we cannot make a meetup without the projector or the beamer. But what do you think is the difference between a big meetup and the convention? Yes, size. It's one of those let's say criteria, but it's not necessary size. We have meetup for 170 people, and we still do not call it a convention. But you have smaller events that can be classified as conventions. Could be, but not necessary. We have also one-day events. Like the Griffish Isles at the first year, it was one-day event. It could be guests, most probably guests. But you also have meetups with the guests. You know, the point of this question is that the line between the meetups and the conventions is a little bit blurry. For some events, it's clear. You would not call Galacon a meetup. You would not call PonyConHolland a meetup. It's conventions. But for some big meetups, it's hard to say. Another UK event, UK PonyCon. This is the longest running MLP event in the Europe from, I think, 2004. It's a little bit different experience than the standard Burning Convention, because UK PonyCon started as a collector convention, and until today it's mainly a collector event. But there is also a lot of brony programs. So if you want to enjoy all the generations and awesomeness of all that stuff, definitely go there. It's gonna happen next weekend in Nottingham. Yeah, then we have PonyConHolland. I don't have to talk too much about it. Who's been here also last year? Yay! So you have the experience, how it looked like. Did you like it? Yeah. Cool. Yeah. The fun fact is that HeartswarmingCon was the last in-person event, My Little Pony event in Europe, and PonyConHolland was the first in-person event of this kind in Europe after the pandemic. So it just jumped from one to another. Did I make a mistake? If
No, I'm just saying that there was irony in that. HeartswarmingCon died and PonyConHolland rose up as a phoenix.
yeah.
The current world events.
Yep. Yeah, My Little Pony fandom has a special talent or cutie mark for irony of what's happening all around. So we are here now. You can make your own experience of the kind I'm going to speak about a little bit later. Another one, new convention in Italy, Eponafest. It's an example of the smaller event. As I said, I know the bigger meetups than this convention, but the small events with a program of this kind are really cute because you have a time for fans to meet others, to experience something unexpected, to make a new friendships. Because when you're at the big event like GalaCon or BronyCon and you're running from program to program, you usually don't have a time for people themselves. So definitely worth visiting big and small events. Yeah, let's go for a bit outside of the Europe. BronyCon, the longest running, the biggest one. Blah, we all know. A lot of guests, a lot of merchandise. It was sometimes hard to reach or not. More on this topic later. It was different than many other events just because of the size. Who's been to at least one BronyCon? Good. So you remember the size, thousands of people queuing is magic and all the awesomeness, but you have to queue for the awesomeness. Yeah, this is how it looked like. Just a short overview. There is too much material about the BronyCon, we could be here until tomorrow. That's the topic for a totally separate panel. Another event in US, in San Francisco, is BabsCon. I've been talking about it shortly before. They have 3 mascots, the theater plays, and also the very specific phenomenon for the US, probably not just pony conventions, and that's the room parties. That's the thing that you can see on the picture on the left. If you're fans of the Star Trek, you probably recognize those markings. The BabsCon is happening in the hotel, similar to this, just the bigger ones. And the tradition of the room parties is that the attendees are bringing a lot of stuff and they're making room parties in a way that they completely rebuild the hotel room. Like they move the tables and chairs and beds away so they can create party space. They create a bar and serve the drinks in different themes. So you have Klingon party, you have fortune party, and stuff like that. Yeah, so total fun. Like the fun continues after the official program. Yeah, if you take a Romulan ale as a Fluttershy, it makes interesting things to you. I promise. Another event from the other side of the world, Japan PonyCon. There, more than everywhere else, you can feel the difference of the culture. Japanese are really nice people, really welcoming and everything, but they have a lot of different customs that are not obvious at the first place. For example, the picture you see on the left down, those lines on the floor, that's lines made by organizers or the volunteers, and that's where you queue for something. They even have these lines in the vendor hall with a, small line to every table that were there. And when you compare it, for example, to vendor hall at other events, which is usually a little bit chaotic, you have to wait until you get to the table. Here, the people walked just across these lines. And there were separate queues for every table. And if the queue for the table was too long, the last person in the queue just holds the sign above, "This is the end of the queue." Like, if you see it for the first time, like, oh, that's different. They had, for example, a live stream, and they were really surprised that we don't want to cover our faces while we are talking to the live stream. Just because they have a different customs, they really value of their privacy. For example, when you take the pictures, you have to ask everyone, and you specifically have to ask if you're allowed to publish these pictures. And if you do the crowd pictures, as you can see on those photos, you don't see any faces, because nobody wants to have their faces online if they don't want to. Yeah, also, that was an example of lost in translation. They asked us to bring something typically Czech. So we brought the My Little Pony magazines, those little newspaper with ponies for kids. So we brought a lot of them, and I have like 50 of them in my suitcase. And when we went through the immigration control at the airport, and they asked me, are you bringing something special? And I said, nah, nothing special. I have just 50 magazines for my friends. And if you know, I did not know back then, or did not realize that the word magazine in English also means something else. So suddenly there were like 5 people around me. They will still keep smiling and, "Sir, please open your suitcase." And when they found out those newspaper, pink newspaper with the ponies, and they've been looking at me, "Yeah, this is those magazines." "Okay, sir, welcome to Japan." Yep, something like this. Yeah, and the last is a little bit of specialty. It's PonyFest Online. It's been created just a few weeks after the pandemic. And it's one of the few pony events that happens only online, and it's not intended for any IRL event. So the base organizers team is from all across the globe. So when we want to have a meeting, we have to schedule it so people from Europe, Australia, and the United States can be all awake. And that's sometimes a little bit tricky because, I have, at the end of the meeting, I have to go to sleep. It's too late. I'm just going to have my breakfast and I'm going to work. Yeah, time zones. All right. This is the end of the overview of the events. This is the current schedule of the My Little Pony events in Europe, as far as I know. There might be, yes? Lunar Fest, that's right. It's been announced after I finished this presentation. So that's also another thing. Lunar Fest is a music festival, right? Yeah, I included Everfree Encore. I should put there also the Lunar Fest. If you notice, there is one event that's pretty new. It's a festival of friendship. It's a new event in the UK. Happened for the first time this year, and it's already planned for the second year. So I've never been there, so I did not talk about it. I hope it's gonna be fun. I'm planning to attend. Where is Derpy Fest? No, Derpy Fest is in Germany. Derp Fest was a convention in Russia. It already ended. Organizers said that there is not going to be another one. They have, by the way, about the Derp Fest, and Russian BronyCon, it was interesting how they do it, because one year it was Russian BronyCon and the second year it was Derpfest. And Derpfest served as a lab for new type of events and new ideas. And if they succeeded, they implemented it in the Russian BronyCon next year. So, did I forget some events in the Europe? Do you know about any other? Yeah, that's one of the local stuff, yes. And Cologne meetup and meetup in other countries. As I said, this is not a total list of every event in the Europe, because some communities in the Europe are either declined or they're like the bird for themselves. Like, for example, Spain. There was events in Spain. I think summer festival. Maybe I'm not saying that name correctly. But there was an event of some kind, and they're still doing their events, but only within the country. And yeah, I'm not sure if they have any international ambitions or not. So we will see. Currently, it's these events in the Europe we can attend, and that are easy to attend because they're held in English. So I hope to see you there sooner or later. Are you planning to visit some of those?
Yes.
Which ones?
Yes.
Okay, also an answer. Oh, okay. So I said this panel will be a little bit different than the others I did before. So let's start with that. Just a sec. Okay, so some attendees notes. Let's start from something that everyone could experience. All attendance at the event starts with the thought, I want to go. This motivation can change from event to event. It can change over the time. Do you remember your first convention? How it was? It was awesome, right? And for the first time, it was just first time. That first impression of the first visit of the convention cannot be replicated, right? Yep, that's it. Yeah, many reasons to visit. One thing that's really interesting for me after years, that when I meet somebody, like nowadays, and we are talking, and yeah, I've seen you, and have you been to that event? And yeah, we experienced that, and it was awesome to see that person doing that thing, that panel, and this. It's really nice to know that I have a lot of experience that can be shared with other people that I don't know yet. You know, there are dozens of people who saw the same thing as you did, experienced the same thing, and that's something you can share. And sometimes this can appear after many, many years. Like after 6 years, you realize that you met this person over there and you had fun, and suddenly you have a new friend. It's happening. It's just something we do not think too often about. I talked already about the expectations. When you return to the same event, or after you go to a certain event and you go to another, you always have expectations, how it should be like, what should the panels look like, how the guests behave, and other stuff. If you want to travel to another country, yeah, that's a good question. Who traveled to convention in another country? Most of you, so yeah. You know it's easier and better, especially at the beginning when you travel with friends. It's part of the experience, and you know you have common memories, you have something to build on. If you have a chance, always when you go, especially for the long distances, take a holiday and look around or travel around the country. For example, if you go from Europe to United States convention, take at least a week and travel around, because going there just for a weekend and back, it's a pretty expensive trip, if you ask me. Yeah. You can travel many different ways. Of course, obvious choices are planes, trains, and cars. Some people take it as an adventure. We had a group of Slovak bronies traveling from Bratislava to Nantes by their really old car, and there were like 5 in that car. I think it took about 36 hours because they wanted to avoid the French highways. So they drove through the countryside and they were totally wasted. But I think totally happy with it. It was total fun road trip. Well, that's pretty impossible if you don't have your own car. Yes? Because they did not want to pay for the highways. They've been running on the budget, and the car was also very budget thing. Yeah, we can check the photos later how wasted they were when they arrived to Nantes. Yeah, speaking of avoiding Deutsche Bahn and especially missing flights and stuff, I would like to note that I was really scared when this is going to happen to me, but the experience says that you're not going to die of it. So if you miss a train, there is always another, sooner or later. When I've been returning from the Nachtlichtcon in Düsseldorf, they told me, yeah, your flight is cancelled. So where's the next flight? In 5 days. What? Okay, I'll take the train. Yep. As I said already, every convention is unique. It gets more obvious after a few years. No event can be the same again, and also the experience. If you enjoy it, if you enjoy going to the conventions, enjoy it now. Because you do not know how it's going to look like in 1 year or next week. It might be better, it might be worse, but it for sure won't be the same. Because there won't be any other BronyCon in Baltimore, there won't be any other BUC in Manchester or Crystal Fair in Helsinki. There might be other events, even more awesome, but never the same. And if you like the event, please say it loud to the organizers or write to the feedbacks anywhere. Regardless what you think, this is a huge boost for every organizer. If you come to a staff member or organizer member after a convention and say, hey, I really enjoy it, thanks, it's the best motivation you can give them for making the next year. And the same also applied for the art, music, panels, workshops, anything. You know, just simple things can make a whole difference, much bigger than you think. Because there are, contrary to some thoughts, there are no hundreds of thank you every day in organizers' mailboxes. There are definitely not. Yep, it matters. It matters a lot. All right, some more attendees notes. Yeah, if you want, you can actively contribute to the conventions. You don't have to hold a panel or something else. You can do the small things like the chalk drawing outside. You can do flash mobs, singing, or watching episodes together, or like organizing the group photo. You know, Galacon has no official group photo, but we always make one outside of the venue. Just why not? Or you can also help the convention itself. I will talk about that later, but for now I would like to say, if you ever think that the conventions have enough volunteers, you're wrong. There is never enough volunteers. What you do at the events can have big and yet unknown impact. I've been talking about Brownie Days and BBC. I said there a few sentences to the reporters. I had absolutely no idea who they are back then. I just said what I thought about My Little Pony. And after 6 years, I was stopped by one of the My Little Pony show staff members in, let's say, a little bit interesting situation at interesting place, and totally unexpected. The person just came to me and said, "Hey, what you said to BBC 4 years ago, I totally love it. We all love it in the team." Wow. I just, like, oh. You know, you say something somewhere, just a few sentences, and then you get it from a person from almost other side of the earth few years later. So it can have impact. For our people who writes me, "Hey, I am really glad you make Czechvestria happen. It changed my life, so I want to contribute." It's like, wow, yeah. Even if for this person, it's totally worth it. And there are also things that you can call, you can say that it was not a complete success, it was more of a failure, and it sticks with you for many, many years. I think the best example is Andrea Libman visiting the Prague in 2013. Yeah, who heard the story at the Galacon? From her, yeah. Yeah, it really happened. We invited her to a meetup in Prague, and those guys who were at the meetup did not recognize her and let her go. And we were like, okay, we are going to apologize, and we are gonna make this right. It never got right. She remembers that all the time, and yeah, I think this failure will stick with us for the rest of our days. Unexpected events, those are usually those you remember. Something that happens out of the blue or just from the spirit of the moment. Like the charity auction events, it's always unplanned. You know, everyone expects Perry to sell the hat. Everyone expects that people will donate a lot of money in charity, but you cannot actually plan it. It's something that has to happen on its own. Also, the interviews, if somebody with a camera or a notebook or some recording device comes and wants an interview or ask you some questions, you never know what the outcome will be. Most of them, they have good intentions, but we have also examples where they're just searching for something to gossip news, and, pardon, it's not so nice then to see your face connected with some events you do not want to. One of my personal favorites was John Delancey when he was visiting Prague. It was an event that I can also talk for a long time, but we don't have the space for that here. I still do not know until today what they told him, because it was Star Trek guys who organized the meeting with him and the audience and the photograph and autograph sessions and stuff like this. When I ask him for a signature and I say, "Hey, thank you for what have you done for the Brownie Fandom," he just looked at me and said, "Yeah, and thank you for you did for Brownie Fandom." I said, "Oh, what I did? You give it a freedom." Like, freedom? Yeah, the freedom of expression. You know, look at this cosplay. If you can do this, everyone can do. Like, ooh, okay. Yeah, one of the most heartwarming moments when you get it like this. Also, I've been talking about those Hasbro events because most people think that Hasbro events cannot be fun. In 2013, we found out there is a Hasbro event in Prague in one of the biggest exhibition halls in Holešovice. And we were like, oh, let's take cosplays and go there. So we changed to cosplays, went through by the tram to the exhibition hall, and there we found out that there is actually entry fee. So they wanted like 200 crowns entry fee. And it's like, are we going to pay it? And one of us, Xsoft, said, no, we are not going to pay for it. Follow me. So we just followed him. We went around a really long queue to the exhibition hall, directly to the security guy at the entrance. And Xsoft just stopped in front of him, dressed as Rainbow Dash in the blue suit and the rainbow wig, and told him, like, we should be on the stage in 5 minutes. Where should we go? Oh, yeah, come in, go there. Oh, come on. This was not my event. But we just went in, and I was like, okay, now we are in. What's gonna happen? And Xsoft just kept walking to that stage. So okay. So we just went through the same security check to the backstage, and there we met a group of girls from some I don't know how to say it. The girl who were paid to dress as Equestria girls. And they've been looking at bronies in their cosplays, and we've been like, hi! And they were like, what are you doing here? Hi, we are fans of My Little Pony. And there was like men and women standing in front of me, and who are you? Yeah, we are fans of My Little Pony. We are called bronies, and we have awesome community, and we have meetups, and we like, the cosplay ponies, yeah. And by the way, my name is James, and she said, yeah, my name is a name, and I'm a Hasbro representative for the Czech Republic. Oh. Shoot. Okay, nice to meet you. And we were like, and the girls from that agency were like, are you wearing this like voluntarily, or did they pay you? No, we do it like because we want. Okay, and we were like, okay, what to do now? And that woman who was Hasbro representative said, oh, do you want to help us? Yes. So we are going to have some competition for kids, and who's going to win? They are going to color the paper table on the stage, and it would be really cool if you're going to color the house with them. Okay, like on the stage here in front of like 2,500 people. Yeah. Okay. So come in like 1 hour. All right. So we just went out, and I was, what the heck just happened? So I think it's pretty fair to say we worked for our entrance fee to this event. Yeah, and when we walked through that crowd, it was really impossible to get through because every like 10 meters we've been stopped by the parents and their kids who wanted the photos. And we repeated like 50 times, and then there were some group of kids saying, we want a picture with Princess Celestia. And the girl who was cosplaying Celestia said, I hate kids. Well, yeah, it was fun, totally. So unexpected events like this is something you can remember after many, many years. Also, the little nice things, that's the spice of the memories that, makes even regular events something special. Like we've been waiting in the line for Buck in 2013, and I met a girl who who's been cosplaying Gala Fluttershy too, but she did not have this blue butterfly. And she said, "Oh, I like your butterfly, but I left my at home." And I was like, I have a second one, the old one. So yeah, if you want one, here it is. Oh, thank you. I never saw the girl again. Like, yeah, it's something that you do. It's a nice thing, and it's when you do it, it's gone. But it's like once in a lifetime opportunity. Like when you get the crazy idea to decorate the convention's toilet. Like we did at Czechvestria, we have like 3 urinals, and they were marked like regular urinal, awesome urinal, regular urinal. Guess what? People were going always to the awesome one. Or we put the motivational quotes inside the toilets, like, inside the rooms. And believe me, we have a lot of feedback on those because many people have realized that at the toilets, most of the motivational quotes sounds totally different. Yeah. Or you meet a little girl. It happened, I think, 2015 at Heartswarming Con. The girl was called Merit. And I was like, "Oh, what cosplay do you have?" "I'm Fluttershy." "Yeah, me too. But you have violet wings. Aren't Fluttershy supposed to have yellow wings?" "I don't care. I'm Fluttershy." Say, "Okay, awesome." Yep, it's something that probably any brony. Oh, come on. I should speed up. I got the idea. So yeah, that's it. Some examples, as I said, chalk drawing. It doesn't. Whatever you do, it does not have to be overly complicated. Just have fun. Helping Twilight win the crown. Who remember that Equestria Girls scenes? Yeah, you do. Good. Helping Twilight win the crown. We made like 150 ears and tails, and we 3 times just went to the convention, throw it to the crowd, and singing the whole song. Then we invaded the gala venue after it was closed. They did not like us. Sorry to all GalaCon organizers. It's not gonna happen again, I promise. Because we became convention organizers too. Yeah, that's what I talked about. GalaCon group photo, fan organized. Come and sing along. This was unexpected musical performance of Daniel Ingram and Anneli Heath at the Crystal Fair. They've been singing your princess song of Twilight. You'll play your part. And it was like totally out of the schedule. They just came on the stage and sing this song, and it was one of the best musical numbers at that event. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it somehow happens like. Yeah, he just grabbed the guitar and went there. Yeah, another unexpected thing. This is Bunker 42 in Moscow. On the left, it's me. On the right, it's Ellie Ray. And we are just launching intercontinental ballistic missiles against the enemies of Soviet Union. It was part of the exhibition there, the simulation of this. So you find out that the red button of the missile command is actually not red. And all the thing with the keys and stuff, they just guided us through the whole process. It was one of the moments when I realized, like, yeah, we should crush our enemies with friendship. Yeah, it's also one of the events that sometimes happens, and when you look at them over the time, you know, the experience can change a bit. It was total fun back then, but today I think it would not be as funny. Yeah, this is, as I've been talking about the community events, this is how you sleep over there. This is actually from my little convent, but it could be, this picture of this kind could be made at most of the fan events in Czech Republic. Yeah, this is how we, for example, have the 11 days convention in Czech. All the fans of all kinds, and most of people are sleeping over like this. Yeah, I also talked about this. Andrea Liebman in Prague. This is the pictures from the original tweet, which is not available anymore. And 6 years later, we invited another guest to Czechvestria. Yeah. So, yeah, and this tweet is still available. So yeah, it's 2,259 days since Andrea Liebman stopped here in Prague, yeah. Just having fun. So let's move to organizers' notes. Yeah, also begins with I want to do it. You know, when you want to do something, you need a dream, you need a lot of stubbornness, and you need some luck. Without it, it just does not work. You can begin with enthusiasm and inspiration, but you usually cannot stick just with that for a really long time. Another thing is, as I talked before, volunteers, artists, tech people, and everyone else around the conventions that is usually invisible when you walk around. There is never enough of those people. So if you ever want to help convention happen, just apply for a volunteer job or try to contribute. I think every organizer will appreciate, because even if you see just a small part of the organizer team, the team is big, and it would not be possible without all the people around. When you do the organizing, you pretty fast hit the expectation versus reality thing, because what you expect, what you see, and what you see as an attendee, it's pretty different what you experience as an organizer. First thing is that many things can go wrong and will go wrong. You cannot avoid it. Convention is a complex, long thing, and so the failures are just unavoidable. It's a lot of work, mostly boring, but it depends on the event. Also, the point of view from attendees to organizers differs vastly, because if you come to event as an attendee, it's just a weekend or just few days for you. For organizers, it's many months long process that ends with one weekend. It's just a peak of the activities, but the feeling of that perception is very different. Maybe one last note to this: if you want to be horse famous, there are much easier, shorter, and less painful ways than becoming a convention organizer. Believe me. After those 8 years, by the way, who's the organizer here? Yeah, good. Did you start it by the thought that you want to be horse famous? No, that's good. Because you did not run into a disappointment. That's right. Yeah, that's what I said. Difference of perception, yes. There are moments, usually at the closing ceremony, where you stay on the stage and it goes on, and you thank to this person, that person, and attendees does not want to go home because it's awesome for them. But for many organizers on the stage, it's like, yeah, it was awesome, we know, but please now go home. We need to clean up this whole place. It's happening. It's a real thing because after months of preparations and the weekend of really intense work, you're usually tired. That's a bit, yes. It's an overstatement, right? Just a bit. Yeah, organizing is a group effort. You can't do it alone. Unless you want to burn out fast, you cannot do it alone. Also, what you have to care about is the money flow. It's obvious, but when you see all the costs and what you have to pay for, it's a huge part of the organizing the whole event, and it can inflict a lot of headaches. Like, what do you think the convention pay most of its budget for? Yes, the venue, that's one thing. Guests, yes. Merchandise, yeah, for the tickets and for the crowdfunding. Yeah, and that's most, sorry? Yeah, renting equipment in general, yeah. And that's about 80 to 90% of the budget, all of these. So everything else is like, yeah, it's somewhere there. Yeah, you can see it. That's the difference of the ticket sales between 2019 and 2022. This is Czechoslovakia sales. And it might not seem to be, but it's very different. You can see that a lot of people did not buy the tickets in the first wave, and there is quite a jump of sales just 1 month before the event. And what do you think are those jumps on the first graph? What do you think that happened at these times? Exactly not. No PR announcements ever. Well, there is just one PR announcement that makes your ticket sales go higher, and that's this. Can you imagine of a reason? What's that? It's this. It's the. Yes, exactly. It's the announcements like, guys, we are closing the sponsor tickets in 3 days. That's the only thing that will increase your sales. But otherwise, PR is like continuous process, and it does not affect the sales directly. Okay. More organizers' notes, some VIP guests. Of course, they are part of most of the conventions. Usually, the money is your limit if you want to invite any guests. You always have to, not always, but most of the times, this is highly formal process where you contact the guest. They will forward you to their agent. You negotiate a contract with the agent. And then you invite the guest to the convention. It's pretty a long process. By the way, how much time do we have left? 15 minutes. Shoot, I made it again. I'm sorry. So, yeah, let's skip this. Let's say the VIP guests mostly are the professionals. So you're paying expenses for them. They usually receive some appearance fee. But you do this bureaucracy in first, and when they come, all the parties can enjoy the convention. That's the best way how to do it. Yeah, let's skip to the community guests. There are big differences in the community guests. So, how would you define a community guest? A question for audience. I'm sorry, can you say it louder? Yeah, musicians, that's right. Actors in the show counts as VIP guests. Yeah. Yeah, it's some people who are actively contributing to the community, mostly. But also, again, the line is pretty blurry. Yeah. Sometimes events pay for the expenses, usually for the musicians, not so usually for others. For example, for Czechostria, we've been trying to invite Legends of Equestria team, and I've been trying to invite them, and they've been like, yeah, maybe we will talk about it. I don't know. And it ended like with the reason, we don't have a money for that. And I was like, yeah, but we can pay for your travel expenses. The response was like, but conventions does not do that. Well, I just said that I'm going to pay for that. No, conventions does not pay for community guests. Okay. So some stereotypes are like buried pretty deep within the fandom of this kind. So if somebody invites you, my shout out to all the potential community guests, please say if you don't want to come, please say so. Just don't say you don't have money, because you can experience that convention is actually willing to pay for your expenses. And also, if anyone from the community wants to have a panel, please apply, do it. Most of the conventions have application forms, and if they don't, just write them an email. That's how we get some really interesting guests at Czechostria, for example, and it was just because they write us that they want to contribute. As an organizer, you have to deal with a lot of bureaucracy. I'll skip that because we don't have a time. It's long talk. Also, you run into unexpected situations. Usually it's sudden problems, or it's an opportunity to have something extra, like guests' requests for some crazy event, or something goes wrong and you have to replace with something that's organized on the spot. Like that panel at Czechostria, we had, instead of the Czech voice actress who said one day in advance that she's not coming because she's ill. That's also happening. VIP guests are just humans as everyone else, and these things happens. Yeah, you have those crazy little fun things that keeps level of healthy insanity running. I'm pretty hot now, but I have this microphone, unlike one of our cosplay show announcers at Czechostria, who forgot that he has a microport, and he was still tapped. And the cosplay show ended, and people were already flowing outside the hall, but from the speakers there come, "Oh shoot, there is so freaking hot in this suit." And half of the attendees were laughing because they understood. That was in Czech. Yep, happens all the time. Yeah, we will see. The power of thanks, I've been talking about it before. Saying thanks is the biggest motivation for the organizers to do it again. Yeah, this is the way how you should not introduce your voice actors. Well, this is the scene from Czechoslovakia 2015. I wanted to say, please welcome historically first Czech voice actor guest. But I was tired, and instead of this, I said, please welcome first historical Czech voice actor. You just swap two words, and it sounds like, yeah, please welcome this old granny that just came up out of the grave. That's totally not what you want to do. Yeah, that little crazy things is something like this. Yeah, your VIP guest comes and said, hey, I heard you have these sea ponytails. Could we take them into the fountain outside? Okay. And something like this happens. Do you recognize some people? Yeah, cool, because 3 PonyConHolland organizers are actually in those sea pony suits in the fountain. Hi, guys. So probably for showing this off, this is my last panel at this convention. Yeah, this is a photo from organizers meetup at the PonyCon 2019. That was pretty unique opportunity to see convention organizers and chairmen from all over the world, from US, Canada, Europe, Japan, Malaysia, and others. One person is not an organizer on this photo. Can you spot him? Yeah, that's Mitch Larson. He just came there and, yeah, hi guys. Just pretty fast, some community guest notes. If you get invited as a community guest, it's sometimes different than you expect. We already talked how to define the community guest because the spectrum is pretty wide. Yeah. Later. Let's say there are many local or regional brownies doing exceptional things, and they can always be called community guests. The problem is that if you want to have these people globally, there are only few of them. Like, they are not famous, they are doing awesome things, so when they come to another country, they have to explain all what they are doing. So it's worth it, but it's something you have to count on. Like, the approach from the audience is totally different. Yeah. Being horse famous, it's, let's say some people rely on that, but it's not a good thing to be horse famous and take it as a goal. Because it leads to some not so nice ends as we saw in many dramas in the fandom. It's not just individuals, it's also the teams, because most of the complex projects in the Brony fandom, like the animations or the games or organization teams, it's always a group effort. So many people hidden behind the curtains. You can usually see just few on the conventions. Of course, you have expectations from also other sides. It's highly event dependent. You can meet different levels of organization of the event. For example, here I was asked many times what I want. I was told how this will be organized from the beginning to the end. It's a big contrast to other events. I'm not going to say where it was, but I was I was invited as a community guest and to make a panel. And like after 10 minutes after the panel officially began, I came to the guys on the side and say, hey, I don't want to interrupt you, but could someone tell me what this panel should be about? Like, nobody told you anything. Another example, at another event, they did not know how I look like. So I've been sitting in the audience because I had no information, and they've been just like, okay, it's 5 minutes until the panel starts. And they've been just looking around, running around and looking for somebody. And it was like, are they looking for me? Okay, guys, knock, knock. Yeah, we are in a hurry. Are you looking for me or some? Oh, it's you. Okay, go on the stage, please, now. So that's also a way how sometimes the guests are handled, because it can go out of the hands. Yeah, many surprise situations when you come to the entrance and say, and they tell you, no, we don't know you, go away. Then I showed them my name in the con guide, and they were like, oh, I'm sorry, come in. Yep, that's it. Reactions and feedback, as I said, thanks makes a huge difference, also for the guests as well, VIP as well as community, as well as everyone. Just keep in mind that most of these people are doing it for free, and if you express in any way that you like what they do, it's the motivation to continue. About those fun stuff, you probably have seen this. It's from Brony Fair 2015, I think. They came to me with the camera again and asked for an interview. And the only question was like, do you have a girlfriend? Yeah, she's over there. Okay, thanks for interview. So that's an example of that not all requests for this kind of stuff is meant to show bronies in a positive way. We have another examples from the Czech Republic, and yeah, with some subjects I am not going to cooperate anymore. Okay, we are almost at the end. Yep. This is what I've been talking about last time, the bronies.eu project, which should show the overview of the events in Europe, basically what I've been talking here for the first part of the panel. So for the next time when I'm doing this, I don't have to talk about it anymore because it's going to be on the website. I'm going to make it available in like 10 minutes after the panel, so you can check it out. It's going to be beta test at this point, so if you like it or if you don't like it, please let me know. There is a contact form on that page. I want to become this also an archive of all the events of the past, because there were so many awesome events that cannot fit in just one presentation like this, or the whole evening of talking about what we've experienced and what fun stuff we had. So if you like it, let me know. If you don't like it, also let me know. Some questions and answers. So do you have any questions to any aspect I've been talking about? Do you want to contribute in? Yes. Please, I think there is a microphone. You can. Yes, please put it up. I'm not going to repeat the same sentence as I did at the Czechostria. Don't worry.
Is this even on? I don't even think it's on.
Yes. Yes, it's on.
Okay. It's fun being half deaf. You don't know. So yeah, what happened? You mentioned there was some the community in Poland was dying out. What happened there? Could you go into more detail?
Oh, please once more.
Sorry, could you go into more detail about what's happening in Poland with the Polish fandom?
Polish fandom, somebody sent me a link to a pretty long document that's describing the current station of the Polish fandom, the Brony fandom, I mean. And long story short, they said that it's dying because they are shattered all across the country, and there is also other problems like people don't have the money, and they are not used to travel too much to other parts of the Europe. So the the guy who's been writing the document was saying that that the fandom is dying because there is nobody around who would put up any big events like we have in the other parts of the Europe. And yeah, he was trying to explain that the Polish events looks different, like I showed that sleepover place. And when I was reading that, I just thought to myself, you know, most of the events in Czech Republic looks the same way. Many fandoms are in the same state of, let's say, not so high motivation to contribute, not so high motivation to put risk on your back while organizing something. I think that document is public, so I can make it public too. If you want, I can send you the link because it has like 20 or 30 pages, so it's hard to sum up in just few sentences. The point is that when there are no active people who want to organize meetups and conventions, then rest of the fandom is losing interest into getting together. That's basically the point. Yeah. Cool. Ah, yeah. Good. It was the Twilight Pony meet, right? Mm-hmm. Cool. Nice. Yep. I mean, the size totally does not matter. Even if you make it small, just that's one of the reasons why I created that bronies.eu website. Because, for example, in Czech Republic, the Czech bronies were interested many times to going to Poland meetups, but we were not able to find any information. You know, that's the language barrier between the countries. And some bronies release on the Discord servers, some release on the Facebook, some have forums. It's Yep. Yeah, you need to have a connection to those people, otherwise you do not know. Yep. Yeah, of course, it's a closed groups. Yeah. Yes, please. There is a contact form on that page that will be opened soon. Please use it. Yeah, okay. I think the same thing applies for France or Spain or other countries who wants to say aloud that, hey, we are having a meetup or we are having a small convention in here. And as soon as it's like in the people's mind, then it can grow into something bigger. Because one of the big risks of organizing is that you can prepare everything, you even can have a skills, but when the people does not come, you're going to pay for it. And that's the risk that many people does not want to take, because if you want to make convention right, it's usually not a so cheap thing. Yes, I know I should go.
Just finish your thing. But
Yeah, I'll just finish shortly. Is she still evil? Ah, okay. We'll see who's gonna win the race. All right, any other questions or comments or your own stories you would like to share? Oh. Nah. Oh, thank you. Thank you for saying thank you, and please say thank you to the organizers of this amazing event. So, yeah. Thank you, Rainbow Derpy. So now it's up to you. See you at the conventions and the meetups all over the world. I think as long as we are keep coming to the My Little Pony conventions, there will be people who are willing to organize them. So last time I've been doing this panel, we've been talking about how it's gonna look like after G4 ends, and we are gonna have a G5. I think this is a new beginning, right? Like, it's not end of the fandom, but it's totally new beginning. We might struggle for some time how to connect our G4 experience to G5, but I'm pretty sure we'll find a way. So we are actually doing it here and now, right? Thank you.